قبل ما نبدا بس الساعه كام يا بسنت؟
7:30.
7:30. So بس كده.
Punctuality, معلش.
So it's 7:30 here,
8:30 in Moscow,
9:30 in Dubai,
11 in Cable,
11:30 in Bangkok.
half past midnight in Hong Kong.
I mean it's 10 a.m. on a Friday morning in Los Angeles.
The moon is 384,000 kilometers away.
Mercury is 92 million kilometers away.
Venus is 42 million kilometers away.
Mars is 8 million kilometers away, which is relatively close considering the other planets.
Jupiter is 628 million kilometers away.
Saturn is 1,227 million kilometers away.
Neptune is 4,347 million kilometers away.
At high school, we have this poster that says, "You're here." A picture of the Milky Way galaxy with a tiny arrow pointing at what I think is the Earth, to show how small we actually are, thus delivering the message that the enormity of the scale on which we consider our problems is entirely false. Because if a planet is that small, then how small are we and how small are our problems? I know that our actual size or the level of importance we possess does not at all contribute to the prepossessing turns and points and laws of this universe.
I know that if my soul were to ascend from this body for a few seconds to take a sip out of the seventh sky,
Planets would still turn.
the sun will still hold its merciful heart and never dare let anybody's skin cells endure burns. I know that Jupiter will still hold all of its 67 moons up loud and proud, that its soul still remains. I know. I know that this is supposed to be somehow refreshing.
Or possibly depressing.
But when I was 8 years old, my mom was in the other room while I had just waken up from a nightmare, and I couldn't get out because the doorknob was out of my reach.
And I could have sworn on the army of stuffed animals I'd lay down on the floor that the oxygen in that room was sucked out, and that the moon called quits on being the loyal companion it is.
I could have sworn that God crumbled up my universe like an old embarrassing note in his diary and threw it away just like that.
I know that right in this second, if my dream of being an astronaut were to be brought to life, no matter how many light years I let myself travel through,
Or how many times I chase my soul as it ascends and takes a sip of all of Saturn's 62 moons.
no matter how many times I twist my bones and mold my skin into constellations,
I know that this universe will still cry lethargy. I know that this universe will never find it in itself to twist the stars into new constellations that spell out my favorite words.
it will never lift me through galaxies and send me shooting stars that never shoot love.
But I could swear, with every drop of blood in my veins that fought its way through gravity to its home, that as I drove my way through the atmosphere,
I could feel all the vapor in the troposphere make it surf into a trampoline that won't allow me to fall just yet.
I could swear that the stratosphere, with all its vicious, hostile, burning wind, turned cool for a while long enough for the wind to carry me all the way through.
I could swear that the entire universe worked hand in hand to allow me to never need a rocket ship to fly through. I know that the universe didn't choreograph a dance delicate enough to turn stone into roses.
I know that the universe didn't choreograph a dance with all the constellations and planets intertwined, but for a second I swear it felt like it.
I know that the universe doesn't revolve around me, but maybe it does.
Which brings us back to the real question.
Does the bigger picture create the individuals, or do the individuals create the bigger picture?
And for me,
God.
it's always been the individuals.
Drops of rain creating an ocean is a thing. Particles of sand creating a desert is a thing.
A bunch of atoms creating a human being is a thing.
I am an individual and maybe I matter. I am an individual and I know that when my lover left me and time froze, it never really stopped the earth from spinning at a speed of 1,000 miles per hour.
But I mean, what's the difference between global warming and the ache in the bottom of my chest the day I failed my favorite subject?
What's the difference between raging thunder and the veins stuck on my restless eyelids?
What's the difference between an earthquake and my trembling hand the day I almost passed out in the middle of the class?
What's the difference between the lava bubbles in the core of the earth and my blood the day somebody dare touch someone I love?
I am an individual, and a panic attack can make me feel like gravity just multiplied, and my legs cannot stand still anymore. Did you know that the diameter of the earth is 8,000 miles and an average plane will take 17 hours to cross that distance?
But if my heart, during a panic attack, were a human and the speed of its pounding were the speed of its running, it would cross a distance in fucking 2 seconds.
And if I were to look at the planet from afar, I'd scream that I am an individual and I've experienced Sonder. Probably also scream out some other curse words. Anyway.
Sonder is a sudden realization that each passerby's life is as complex and vivid as your own. So dear poster, how could an arrow ever be enough to point at a person with all their baggage and all the lines on their faces?
Perhaps one line was from that cigarette phase they had a couple of years ago. Perhaps one was from that month they never really slept enough in.
How could one arrow ever be that brave to point at an entire galaxy hidden in an individual's eyes?
How could it just be little and compromise the depth and complexity of the human heart just like that?
Let alone point at an entire planet and call it small.
So yes, poster, I am a tiny puzzle piece for as long as I live, but I am here.
I've been carrying all the matter in the world and every part of my body that had to learn how to take the pressure. I've had to go through stories that made me carry the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Yeah, poster, I'm here and I deserve to matter. I am an individual and maybe after all I matter.